Alright, it's time for my annual Beyblade ranking. I'm going to rank every single Beyblade that was released in 2025. I do have some exceptions though. Any of the Hasbro variants or any remake Beys are not counted. I intend on doing special videos on those in the distant future. Though I will be counting the two secondary prize CX Beys as they at least have a new part with them, and also I will be counting Wyvern Hover. While it starts as Hasbro Bey, it is its own unique part, so I think it's fair to count. And then we also have two weird Beys. We have Leon Fang, which I will count as well because I think it's qualified as a recolor, but we don't really know that for sure yet, technically, so I'm counting it to be safe. And also, as of January, Orochi Cluster still is not out, so I guess it's a 2026 Bey now. Oh, and one last note, this video is just kind of for fun. These are just ranked on how much I personally like them, and that's really it. So with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and actually get into the ranking itself. Number 24, Shelter Drake. There's a few Beys above this that I probably like less than Shelter Drake, but the reasons why it's dead last is because it's just so forgettable. Like, it's consistently the last Bey to come to my mind whenever I think about, Beyblade X releases. The only notable thing about this is really the gear chip. That's like the only thing anyone cares about. It's a really boring blade. The parts don't help it at all. I mean, 780 gear point, who cares? Really shows why BX should not be around, because unless you have some kind of weird, interesting part, like most other BX releases have had recently, then you get this and no one cares. Although gear point in particular really is not helping this Bey out at all, but the only thing being worse than a Bey that I don't like is one that I just constantly forget about, and that's why it is dead last for me. Number 23, Wizard Arc. Potentially the biggest downgrade of all time. Well, I don't really mind the parts here, just kind of a basic Stamina Bey in a new system. I mean, you got 455 low orb, you got round here. That's all fine and good. That's actually not why it's so low. The reason why it's so low is the color scheme. This Bey, as well as the next three, are Beys I actively dislike. And the reason why I actively dislike this Bey is because I just hate its color scheme. Rather than just being yellow like the previous two, they opted to add in green, and I don't think it works too well. And it gets especially bad when you swap out the Arc main blade for Might, because, well, black, gold, and then like this lime green thing does not work well together. And I just don't like the color scheme change in general. It's not very good. I don't really like Wizard Arc very much. Number 22, Whale Flame. They could have just waited like 2 months, and we would have had the perfect main blade for this thing. If this had Eclipse, it would actually be pretty interesting. I think Massive is perfectly fine. 385 High Taper I don't really like very much. I don't mind 385, but High Taper, honestly just reuse Elevate. Like, High Taper is just such a downgrade. Flame is awkward. Massive and 385 are fine. This just feels like making a whale for the sake of making a whale, and it wasn't even a good reason to do so. I don't know why they made this over a different motif getting sort of a weird secondary prize version variant thing. This was just unnecessary. Number 21, Samurai Caliber. The color scheme on this thing is actually like pretty okay, like the kind of teal cyan, whatever you're gonna call it, with a purple. Beyond that though, the blade is pretty boring. It's BX, so I don't really care. 670 is fine. Both Takuratomi's Samurai Steel and Samurai Saber have had 70 heights, so this one continues that. And those have ratchets that pair with the blade, and I mean 6 sides on an even sided Bey, that's good enough for me. Merge is just such wasted potential, like this needle part, it being as tall as it is. Genuinely a horrible design decision. Merge should have been like one of the coolest parts in Beyblade X, but instead, they botched it. And there's nothing else interesting about this Bey, so I don't really like it. Number 20, Rhino Reaper. I'm all for using different parts for different things, like Reaper could be used for attack, for example, but using Reaper for defense just seems kind of stupid. I don't think charge helps that much. We got 455 dot, that's perfectly fine. I don't mind the ratchet and bit choices on this thing. I just don't think the blade works very well as a defense blade, that's all there is to it. It just feels very misplaced. I think they maybe should have waited for a new blade later on. Definitely could have had a better decision here. I just think Reaper was a little bit too awkward for this thing, and it doesn't really work all that well. And it's not overly interesting beyond that. Number 19, Wyvern Hover. Originally I was going to have 2 different spots for the Hasbro and Takuratomi versions, but they'd be one spot apart anyway, so I figured just put them in one slot. The blade design is fine, the color scheme is fine on both, although I think Takuratomi's is better. The part selection on both is honestly pretty abysmal. 385 needle is just terrible. 280 gear needle is better, but not by much. And because I do prefer Takuratomi's color scheme as well, I would probably say that's the better of the two, to kind of give them a bit of a difference, but still beyond that they're like almost the same. Interesting blade with a bad combo. It exists. This is at least the point where I think Beys just exist and are at least fine. I don't actively dislike it, but there's a lot of Beys in Beyblade X that I just don't really care much about in general. Number 18, Triceratops. This is easily the best BX bay released in 2025. They gave like these large hook things to the bay. At least they tried something on the blade, that's cool. As for the parts, you have M85 and Bounce Spike. I guess Bounce Spike is kind of an interesting reprint, and M85 is like kind of cool, I guess. It's at least something different. Again, that's kind of something that just carries, you know, a BX bay. Though, I think the hooks are at least kind of cool. Make it stand out a bit more than most other BX bays, so again, it's the best of the year. But I still don't care a whole lot about it. I guess the color seems kind of nice, but that's really it. Number 17, Percy Stark. This is only this high because of the lock chip, that's it. I like the design a lot. Beyond that, the whole design is just kind of whatever, I guess. Wedge has a somewhat unique idea, so that's also a bit of a plus. Everything else just screams a basic defense type at the start of the line, and that's what it is, but at least get some extra points, so it's not too bad. Number 16, Golem Rock. It's just fine. The blade is solid, the color scheme's solid, and then flipping it over as well. 160, sure. Underneedle's kind of weird. I like the fact that this thing is actually pretty short, but I don't like the color scheme of Underneedle. Just clashes with the rest of the bay too much. But beyond that, I mean, it's a decent bay. Certainly just a middle of the list kind of bay. Number 15, Drawn Brave. It is the starting attack type of a new line. That's literally it. That's what the parts would reflect. There is, in my opinion, nothing really of note of this bay, other than it exists. Number 14, Leon Feng. Leon Feng looks pretty cool, honestly. I think Turn was a pretty interesting choice. The parts are not that interesting because they're just reused. The color scheme isn't necessarily Leon, but it's still pretty cool. It's just that it's kind of bland over all the reused parts, so that's why it's so low. I did debate putting it a little bit higher, but I think this is a pretty fair placement. Number 13, Foxbrush. Foxbrush looks pretty cool. I like the white and red. It's decent. Beyond that, this bay is just kind of CX Drawn Dagger. I don't really like the Gear Rush color here either. It would have been cooler if they could have just stopped doing this stupid thing where they have to have bits be certain colors. Or just make it white, that would have been fine. But as is, it does clash a bit too much for my liking, and beyond that, this bay is just really, really mid. It just has a kind of cool color scheme. But it does round off the bottom half of the list, and also the last of these bays that I just don't really have many thoughts on, and they're just kind of boring. So I guess that's a plus. Number 12, Pegasus Blast. This and the next few bays are all weird because I like them, but they just have some issues. So first up, I actually kind of hate this lock chip design. I'm not a big fan of it at all. And then the paint is cool though. I like the rest of the blade. I just don't like this lock chip at all. It just doesn't have a design that appeals to me. Also, the lime green isn't bad, but I'm not huge on it either. Then we have Turbo. Turbo's kind of good and bad here. It does kind of save the bay because it is interesting. It's basically like a reboot Final Drive kind of idea. But it makes the base so bulky and awkward that it really harms the aesthetic of it. So for me, it still does get fairly decent, you know, marks because I do care a bit more about, you know, the actual functionality of the bay over how it looks, but I do care about how it looks too. And the blade is really boring, so for me, it gets into the top half of the list, but just barely. Number 11, Scorpio Spear. Scorpio Spear is really cool because it has a gimmick where it shifts between kind of its like 6-bladed and, you know, 3-bladed mode from, you know, extreme dashes. The parts I think work fine enough. 070 and Zap, sure. Zap is a solid choice for the blade gimmick. But my problem is the color scheme because underneath here actually looks pretty good. I like what's going on, but then when you flip it over, this yellow man is just not appealing. If they gave this like a dark purple plastic up here, this thing is top 5 probably. So while I do like the functionality of the bay, it's just so ugly. But it's so close to actually being good, and that's why it's just so low. Honestly unfortunate. Number 10, Meteor Dragoon. The blade is fine, has rubber, that's cool. The white paint's a bit overpowering, but not bad. Beyond that, I mean, the parts are okay. 370, should have been 60, maybe 50 even. Jolt exists. I think the color should have been a little bit different, but it's fine. Beyond that, this bay is just kind of wasted potential, I think. I wish it was just a full El Drago bay, not partially El Drago, partially Dragoon. And the actual blade's design feels like it's kind of caught between wanting to be like a spin stealer or an attack bay. They needed to just pick one or the other. It could have rubber regardless, but either make this thing more aggressive or just get rid of the imbalance and lean into the whole spin steal thing. It kind of ends up having balance syndrome despite being an attack type. It's just weird and definitely missed potential because this easily should have been much higher. But I guess 10th is at least a decent position. Number 9, Clock Mirage. This is the last of the kind of weird bays, and from a top-down view, this thing looks really cool. I do wish they went with a Herogium color scheme, but As is, it's okay. Just the actual molding of the blade is really cool. But then you flip this thing over, and it's like this. 965 is okay. Ball, again, I wish they would stop doing the sort of color coding thing. It does not matter at all when you make recolors of parts that don't follow this anyway. So stop doing it for the mainline releases as well. It's annoying. And Ball's just kind of an okay choice here anyway, but my main problem is really just this, whatever this is supposed to be. It just makes the bay unnecessarily awkward. If that wasn't so bulky, this bay would be a decent bit higher, I think, 'cause I really like the blade design. But as is, it has to settle for 9th. Number 8, Wolf Hunt. Wolf Hunt is here for 2 reasons. First up, the color scheme is great. I like the kind of teal on white, got some black as well. It's a really good color scheme. And the second reason, it's free. That's it. I like the free spin here. It's a really cool gimmick, honestly. Most interesting is this blade for sure. And again, I like the color scheme of this thing a lot. Beyond that though, I mean, disc fall, who cares? 060's fine. The Hunt blade is pretty mid. But having noteworthy free spin and a good color scheme, that's enough to at least get this thing into the top third of the list. And everything this high is actually something that I do like, so that's nice. Number 7, Hell's Reaper. This thing is this high purely because of the color scheme, and that's it. I like the black, red, magenta, pink this thing has going on. It's really, really cool, honestly. The parts aren't bad. I mean, kick is okay. Turn, you can at least flip this so it does something. So the actual functionality of the bay is like decent. 470 is fair, I guess. So it's at least okay in that regard, but with a great color scheme, that's why it's so high up. Number 6, Cerberus Flame. Cerberus Flame looks pretty nice, I think. Solid stamina bay, but then when you flip it over, we have wheel, and wheel is just this large plastic piece. I like it a lot. Wish it acted a bit more like BD145. Also wish maybe it had the Hell's color scheme, but it's still cool. 580 is okay, wall ball's interesting. I just really, really like wheel. I think it's still solid enough beyond that, but yeah, wheel definitely carries this thing for me. It's a really cool part. I also like the motif on this thing, so it just ranks pretty high. Number 5, Mummy Curse. Mummy Curse looks pretty solid. It does have a gimmick with this part coming out while spinning at high speeds. The parts in this thing, I mean, 755 is fine. Honestly, it's pretty bulky. Works for defense type. Wedge, decent reprint. Aside from that, though, yeah, the gimmick just does a lot for this thing, because I do really like when, you know, bays actually have gimmicks. Plus, it reminds me of both Minoboros and Pika Kulkin, and reminding me of Burst definitely is a good thing, and is a big reason why this thing is actually number 5. Number 4, Valkyrie Volt. Metal lock chip is cool. Beyond that, this thing does absolutely nothing. I mean, 470, Vortex, Slash even, who cares? Volt itself is pretty boring. However, this, in my opinion, is the best looking bay of 2025, and that is why it's this high up. It's purely an aesthetic thing, but I don't care. To me, it does look that good to warrant being this high up. Number 3, Solar Eclipse. Solar Eclipse is definitely the most interesting CX bay. The color scheme's kind of awkward, but, you know, overall, it's still fine. Transkick technically gives it another mode change, so that's kind of nice. 570 works really well for this bay. Dual also is another mode change. It's very similar to Turn, which we've already seen. I like the lock chip design a lot on this thing. And Eclipse is flippable. So that is very cool. If it wasn't for that, this thing would probably be around the middle of the list, but with that, 3rd. Number 2, Emperor Might. Emperor Might looks great, probably the second best looking bay of the year. The metal lock chip is great. Might is kind of boring, but it does look nice, so that's a plus. And the parts here are really cool. So you have Heavy, which does have some metal on the Cis Blade, which is nice. I also like Operate. It has this like 4-bladed stamina defense mode, but you could change it to have the 2-bladed attack mode. It's not that crazy, but again, in Beyblade X, having anything of note is great. So I still like this thing a fair bit, and also, yeah, again, it looks really cool, has a few things going on, so for me, it's a really, really nice bay. Number 1, Shark Scale. I really like the design of this bay a lot. Has this whole upper attack thing going on, which is cool. And then underneath, you have 450 and underflat, which just makes the bay very, very short. Plus, the metal does feel a bit lower here. And yeah, from a side profile, this bay looks kind of, well, normal. X is very tall. I don't like that. This thing feels more in line with older gens, which I do like. Honestly, I hope we see more of that, but we'll see. As of now, though, it's a great feature for this bay. I think it does the whole upper attack thing very well, has a good color scheme, good design. Doesn't really have a gimmick, but you know what, it makes up for that just by being a pretty good bay all around, so you don't always need a gimmick to be good. It's just very helpful. I just think they did a great job with the design here, so it is my favorite bay of 2025. But anyways, that's really all I have for this video. It was a lot shorter than I expected. I mean, Beyblade X is generally not that dynamic, so beyond some basic design stuff, there's not much to talk about, especially considering I've already talked about all these bays in the past, so I don't want to rehash those videos too much. And yeah, that's really all there is to it, so thanks for watching, and bye-bye.